everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tips in 10, where we give you the top tips in the least amount of time. This series was built to help you stay in the know without taking a chunk out of your schedule. Let's welcome today's guest, Ivan Reilly. Ivan is the founder and CEO of MoxēHub and co-founder of Revvy Pro. His passion is to disrupt industry norms by working on revolutionary solutions that change the digital landscape. He has launched over 20 products in European and US markets and has over 15 years of experience in the tech industry. And I've been fortunate enough to know him for probably over 5 years now, and he's just someone that I consider a great friend. So are you ready to do this, buddy?
I'm ready. I am
All
ready.
right.
Thanks for the glorious intro.
Love it, brother. Love it, brother. Let's go. Let's go. So you recently launched Revvy Pro, which is a recruitment platform for professionals that allows candidates to present their authentic selves via bite-sized videos. Really cool. What needs did you identify from the candidate's perspective in the research process that led you to create Revvy?
So, great question. There's so much to unpack there, but we were in a deep discovery process for almost a year, looking at the problem in HR and specifically with HR tech solutions. So we were picking apart your LinkedIns and picking apart your Monsters and your Indeeds and your ZipRecruiters and all of the above, and we saw a huge opportunity that was emerging and a bubble that was forming in HR tech, which it has formed already. This is a number of years ago, before we started writing code or doing any of the design. And if you look at some of the reports that Gartner was putting out there under hyper automation back in 2018, we were talking about how streaming devices and bite-sized video technology was becoming more and more part of our everyday lives than ever before, right? Like 80% of what we consume by the end of last year has some sort of a streaming device attached to it. So we were looking at, well, how could we, not come up with an old-fashioned solution to an old-fashioned problem, but we wanted to be coming up with a new innovative solution to an old problem. So really, we looked at how we could utilize bite-sized video technology like the TikToks of the world, who, by the way, has billions of users on their platform and promoting a conduit for companies to become more and more efficient by using video technology in their solutions. We really, saw a trend that hadn't emerged just yet a number of years ago within that industry. And that's why we built the Revvy Pro solution, which, became a commercially viable product just a little over 2 months ago. And we launched after, 2.5 years of development.
So how important is it, especially in tech space or really any business, is it to do that research up front before like writing code and stuff like that?
Yeah, that became absolutely critical for us. We have an actual proprietary process that we developed and designed in-house at MoxēHub a number of years ago. But really, designing for everybody means you design for nobody. It's a moving target per se. And if you don't have the right fundamentals in place and the principles in place, then your user adoption really doesn't matter. Jeff Bezos was famously quoted at saying, everybody wants to talk about disruptive innovation. Everybody wants to use that terminology, and it's the buzzword per se. But really, your disruptive innovation is determined on the success of your user adoption. Now, we're adopting technology and advanced innovations faster than we ever have before, right? Our Alexas are part of our lives. Our smartwatches are part of our lives. Our Spotify's are part of our life, our Uber experience, our online banking experiences. And they are some of the simplest solutions that we've ever adopted and used. And that is true innovation. That has changed the world that we live in, right? We don't whistle for cabs anymore down in New York. We don't go to Blockbuster to rent movies anymore. We've got Netflix and online streaming demand companies for that. But really, we wanted to break down the discovery process of figuring out who we're actually designing for. And we've done a lot of psychological research into how human beings are engaging with technology. And that's why we're trying to give the upper hand to the recruiter again, because the modern generations who are now part of the big quit and the big resignation, they're quitting for reasons. And how do you design and cater for that demographic? That's where, to answer your question, Mike, the research becomes incredibly pivotal and important for how you design for that demographic, how you engineer for that demographic, because the shelf life expectancies of applications are, very, very low and short because people pick something up and they put it down pretty fast.
Yeah, no, that's good. I really appreciate you sharing that. What trends in the HR industry are starting to emerge, that you have identified, and what can business owners do to adapt?
Yeah, it's difficult because I mentioned in a moment ago, it's almost like a moving target, right? There's many trends that have been forming in a very challenging market for both employers and candidates, right? So there's this high profile focus on well-being because that's a hot topic. Great, I love that one. HR entering into the metaverse, right? That's becoming a reality. What will that mean for the hiring process? What will that mean for the users in the ecosystem? What will it mean for the recruiters themselves? You also have a trend of the use of AI and artificial intelligence and chatbots in the recruitment to help make these roles more efficient, more streamlined, faster, more economical than ever before. And of course, the one that we've led with on top of some cool AI work is the bite-sized video technology. So video has become very important to the recruitment process because by the admission of the subject matter experts that we've worked with over the past 3 years, they're looking at the traditional paper-based resume less and less. They are scanning it at most before going to the candidate's social handle. Okay, well, that's a little bit of a different recruitment process than ever before. So if you can give access and pretty fast access into people's social persona via bite-sized video technology, that's becoming a huge trend and one at which we've taken advantage of within our solution. And, TikTok last year did a TikTok resume beta. So you can see TikTok are already, kind of considering that market segment of how do we, promote that use of video technology for people who are getting into the workforce. The second part of the question is difficult for the companies because there's so many emerging technologies that are coming out. There's so many moving parts per se. It's very hard to get ahead of the trend and most certainly keep up. So the companies have to be in the market to understand the different types of products and how disruptive they can be. Because that whole industry is under siege. That whole industry is changing dramatically. The users are changing, the demographics, the candidates, how they approach, how the recruiters are doing the recruitment, as I mentioned, going to social networks. So the companies have a difficult task ahead to stay ahead of the curve via research. And that's what it is. You've got to keep your finger on the pulse to see what's coming next.
No, that's good. And it is so important. And I'll tell you what, video today, I mean, to me, it is so critical because especially hard, just, getting a resume, like, I don't know that person.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. And I don't, video just helps me feel that connection. We're in the community, we're in the people, we're in the faces. It's important. It just helps us engage. And if there's a way that someone can gain an edge on, other candidates, I mean, set the video up.
Yeah. And if you think about it, the paper-based approach, the paper-based resume, it's one-dimensional. It really is one-dimensional. It almost does a disservice to the individual who are trying to get across the notion and the data of their skill set, their capabilities, and even most importantly, like where they've spent their time in their career to date. We have a paper-based system, which is again changing dramatically, where it captures every single perfect thing that you did in your career. Well, that's not entirely accurate either. How about you tell us about the skill sets that you don't have? That's nowhere on a resume. Yeah. So it really does the candidate a disservice. And if you can get insight into, the professional side authentically, right? Not embellished, but authentically into the candidate in a very fast, seamless way via video, that's the way this is going.
Yeah, I agree. How do you feel about like the economic talk of correction and what will this mean for the HR industry?
Yeah, depending on the economists or economists that you subscribe or prefer to listen to, right? It's obvious that they're speaking about some sort of a course correction and a market correction, but there's a lot of inconsistency to what they're forecasting, right? So what I will say is that there is a bubble that has emerged within this HR marketplace, and we are right now positioned nicely to take advantage of that with our technology, right? Because we're commercially viable already. We've spent years in design, years in development. It's why we won that best, design concept of the year last year by the Red Dot, which was fantastic. But really, the forecasts are a little bit inconsistent. So you need to have a commercially viable product in the market to be able to provide that operational excellence. And we actually have that, right? We have that at the moment. But what I will say is that regardless of what occurs, whether it's a crash per se or just a large course correction, opportunities will present themselves. They always do. It just depends on how trained and how educated you are to pick up on those opportunities. And most certainly, as I mentioned, because of the bubble that has formed in HR tech, there's going to be a ton of opportunities for companies like Revvy Pro and like others that are coming to market with more disruptive innovations to be able to capitalize on the correction when it occurs and how badly it occurs. So it doesn't scare me as much as it prevents or provides an opportunity for us to do well.
And that's just it. It shouldn't scare you, right? It's opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's the key. I mean, it forces us to be more creative.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where innovation comes from. So let's just have a little fun right now. Let's do some speed round questions.
Hit me.
And then we'll wrap this thing up. So if you could only take one thing with you on a deserted island, what would it be? And it can't be me.
One thing.
One
thing on a deserted island. Oh God. I'm going to get shot for this. Probably my dog. Wouldn't be a human being. I know that.
But excuse me. Buy online or shop in store?
Oh, I'm a shop in store guy all day.
I agree. All day. I am too. I do like the convenience, but I do like to enjoy shopping in store. If you could give up one of your 5 senses, what would they be, or what would it be?
I would give up the sense of smell. Wouldn't bother me, I don't think. I don't think so. Taste would be.
I have to think that one through myself too, as well.
Yeah.
So, Ivan, thank you so much for taking the time to provide, some insight in terms of the HR industry and some of the technology that is out there. Yeah. How can our viewers get in touch with you?
All of the traditional ways, right? We are live on all of the channels, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, where we just launched on TikTok as well. But I'm sure we provide all the details in the bottom, but we're on all of the social channels. And of course, you can connect to us via our development company or our Revvy Pro company, revvypro.com or MoxēHub.com. You'll be able to get access to our team there.
Awesome. Ivan, thank you so much for joining us on Tips in 10 today. You were an amazing guest. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, brother. Great to see you again.